Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking the 12 new subclasses coming to patch 8 in Baldur's Gate 3 on a tier list. We got ourselves a lot of them here, and I've seen a lot of different conversations regarding these, and I think some people are wrong on their ideas on how these classes may work, so I'll be breaking them all down, giving my thoughts on it, and just ranking them on this tier list. The first one we'll be focusing on is the Arcane Archer, which is a interesting version of the fighter. This is the true archer subclass in Baldur's Gate 3, and it's actually extremely strong early game because you get these arcane shots that don't actually really scale up at all. So with them, this will do your weapons damage plus additional damage. Now, what's crazy is this will apply if you got like the Titan string bow, so you can use things like the piercing arrow to shoot through multiple arrows, adding your strength modifier to the damage. So this actually becomes very powerful. This piercing arrow is quite strong. We also got ourselves the Shadow Arrow, which adds additional psychic damage, which is nice too, especially once you get to Act 2 and you can get the Resonance Stone to double that, so that 2d6 becomes a lot more. This can also make the target blinded, which is nice, especially early game. Seeking Arrow is almost like Magic Missile, and this will also apply Fairy's Fire. Grasping Arrow will do poison damage and do slashing damage if they move. Enfeebling Arrow can make them do less damage with strength attacks and does necrotic damage. The Bursting Arrow hits in a 3-meter radius, which is quite large. And we also have the Beguiling Arrow, which can make the target charmed while also doing psychic damage, and the Banishing Arrow, which can banish the target. What is great about this is early game at level 3, getting an extra 2d6 of force damage on your attack on top of your weapon damage is actually wild. So it has a very strong start. It's actually quite powerful all the way through, but it's not the strongest class here. So it's got some nice abilities, and it's actually very well buffed from the version that you get in Dungeons and Dragons, which you normally would only get 2 arcane arrows per short rest, and now you get upwards of 10. So you can actually blast quite a bit with these arrows. So it makes it a lot more powerful and better in Baldur's Gate 3. My favorites being like the Piercing Arrow, the Seeking Arrow for the ability to find a target and also apply Fairy Fire for 2 turns, pretty crazy, and the Bursting Arrow. I would say that this is actually quite a strong subclass. It's not going to be very powerful, like I'm not going to throw it in the S tier for any reason there, but what's nice about it is it has a strong start. It's a fighter. The fighter's just strong in general. It gets 3 attacks at level 11, and if you want to be extra spicy, you can add in a level of the War Cleric for level 12, and that gives you 4 attacks without even having to use your Action Surge or Haste or Bloodlust potions. You end up slinging out 14 arrows with this, which is actually pretty cool. However, at the end of the day, the Battle Master is probably the best fighter, so I'd have to say it's like high B tier. I'm going to put in the A tier though, because it's got a stronger start than most classes have with those arcane arrows. It's actually really powerful to have. And it's also nice because you can do some cool things with like the piercing arrows here. So if you have the ballast armor and crossbow expert, you're able to attack at melee range without getting disadvantaged on your attacks. So with that, you can also add in sharpshooter. The ballast armor will add the extra 20 damage to your shots, and then your piercing arrows can pierce through people. So it's actually pretty strong, and for that reason, I'm going to leave it in the A tier. Some people may disagree. I've had some people get in arguments with me telling me this class is awful. Yes, it's pretty bad in Dungeons and Dragons, but with the gear that you get in Baldur's Gate 3's base game, the ballast armor, crossbow expert feat, you can actually make this very viable. So I'd have to say it's an A tier. Next, we're getting into one of my favorite subclasses with the Giant Barbarian. So with the Giant Barbarian, what makes it so powerful is your Giant's Rage, which allows you to double your damage on your throw, or doubles the bonus damage from Rage on your throwing attacks. This is like the true throwing build. I know the Throw Zerker is quite powerful. I think that this one actually gives it a run for its money. So what's fun about this is you can turn any weapon into a throwing weapon, which makes them very strong. So at level 5, we get the Boot of the Giants, which is a bonus action which you can kick a target away depending on your athletics, and it's going to be a higher skill chance if you're hidden or invisible. What's nice about the Boot of the Giants is you can kick people right off the ledge and insta-take them out, so it's actually really strong. It's almost like a shove, but as a bonus action and a little bit more powerful. But here's the big class feature that we get at level 6, the Elemental Cleaver. So whenever you're in your rage form, you can add additional acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage to your attacks, and your weapons will gain the thrown property. Now, previously, if you had, let's say, a great sword and you wanted to throw it, it's not going to do a lot of damage because it doesn't have the throwing property, which then allows you to use its damage die for its attack rolls. Or its damage rolls. Whenever you're applying this, you can do it to any single weapon in the game, and they're going to have the throwing property and that additional elemental damage. Where this becomes even crazier is cold damage. If you have the Snowburst ring, whenever you throw your weapon, it creates ice surfaces under the target in a 2-meter radius. So with that, you can see where I'm going with this. Throwing your weapon to create crowd control, that's really crazy. And also just the ability to make it a throwing weapon is also quite cool. But I think the biggest thing here is once you get to level 10, you get the Mighty Impel, so you can throw a creature that is medium-sized or smaller as a bonus action. What's cool about this is your character does a suplex. It grabs them and does like a backflip. It's so funny. This got to be one of the coolest abilities in patch 8, but also it's very strong too. So getting the ability to throw your weapon twice, adding extra damage to it, and throwing any weapon in the game, and also having your bonus action boot or the Mighty Impel, this gives the Giant Barbarian a lot of control over the battlefield and how things go. And I'd have to say, the Giant Barbarian, it's probably going to be an S tier choice for me. I think this is an evolved form of the Throw Zerker. It's going to be a little bit stronger. The only little thing that's a little upsetting is normally you'd want to go 9 levels and then that level and 3 levels of the Rogue Thief for that extra bonus action. Whereas at level 10, you can't actually get that extra bonus action. So that does take away from it slightly. But still, at the end of the day, it's a Barbarian. It's very strong. So you'd even go 10 levels of this, 2 levels of the Fighter to get yourself Action Surge, and then you can throw your weapon quite a bit. So it's still very strong. And for that, I would have to say it's S tier. Not only is it one of the coolest subclasses, I'm not normally a huge fan of Barbarians, I'll be honest with you guys. I think that this is a very fun one and great for Karlach. So it's S tier for me, being able to turn any weapon into a throwing weapon, adding additional damage on top of it, and getting the crowd control or throwing. You can just take people out without even having to fight them. So that's very strong. So we started with the A, we went on to the B, the Barbarian, now we're on to C, the Crown Paladin. The Crown Paladin is actually pretty strong. Now, why I think it's strong, it's getting a lot of really powerful spells like Spiritual Weapon and Spirit Guardians, which are typically only for the Cleric. This also is kind of the true tank of Baldur's Gate 3, which is nice. My heart still lies with the Vengeance Paladin. I still think that that's probably the best subclass, but this is a unique flavor for somebody out there, and I will definitely be using it on a run. So you get yourself the Righteous Clarity, target yourself an ally to give yourself proficiency bonus to their attack rolls as your channel oath. Kind of nice, but the really big benefits of the Oath of the Crown Paladin are the buffs that you get for your team. So whenever you're playing a Crown Paladin, as you continue to level up, you're going to get your different spells here. The big ones being level 3, you get yourself the Turn the Tide using your channel oath. So you can shout out and heal all nearby non-enemy creatures. And the Champion Challenge. This is the big one here. So challenge enemies nearby, compelling them to attack only you. Any other attacks they may have will have disadvantage. This typically will turn the AI to make sure that it does target our character itself. You also get Command, Great Spell, and Compel Duel. Those are 2 that we already would get as a Paladin here. The big thing though, level 5, Spiritual Weapon. That's a great bonus action ability to summon in a Maul. Now, when you have a Maul summoned in, it can daze a target, which means you're going to have a likelier chance of doing wisdom saves on command, hold person. So great support for your team, as you don't get hold person here, but a lot of others do. You also get Warding Bond, so it again is a protector style class. And once you get to level 7, you get the Divine Allegiance. When an ally within 1.5 meters of you takes damage, you can use your reaction to magically substitute your health for your allies, taking the damage instead of them. Which, again, nice. You're a tank with this class. So it's pretty powerful. The big thing, however, here is at level 9, Spiritual Guardians. This is great. This actually makes this, I think, the best Radiating Orb build. Previously, I would say it was the Light Cleric, but getting Spirit Guardians and Divine Smite makes this pretty strong, because if you have the gear that applies Radiating Orbs when you deal radiant damage, Spiritual Guardians will do that, your Divine Smite will do that, and as a nice little treat, as you get yourself all the way up to level 11, which typically the Paladin likes a multi-class, you can get the improved Divine Smite. So every single attack you do stacks Radiating Orbs. Every single time you move into enemy's range, you apply Radiating Orbs, which Radiating Orbs, by the way, if you don't know, what it does is it makes it so the target gets a -1 to attack rolls, and you can stack these up even higher to give it a -10 to its attack rolls. So as I said, this is like the tank of Baldur's Gate 3, protecting your allies because you can take damage for them. You can also compel all enemies to attack you. You can also go, hey, and heal everyone in the area. So it is quite strong. And for that, I'd have to say it's A tier. It's not going to be the strongest subclass. I still think the Vengeance Paladin is S tier and outweighs it in terms of its overall strength, but it's a not bad subclass in general. And I feel like there's some people that underrate it a little bit. Same as the Arcane Archer. I feel like I want to start with these 2 because I think that they're underrated subclasses for sure. But next we'll get ourselves into one that's definitely overrated with the College of Glamour Bard. So the College of Glamour. This one is okay. So you get yourself the Mantle of Inspiration, which gives you 2 allies, 5 temporary health, and if they get hit, it'll charm the targets. Now, this will scale upwards at level 10 to 4 allies and 11 temporary health, and will still charm the targets. That's okay. That's okay. Personally, I think the Sword Bard's better. Here's my little breakdown of it. The big benefit of the College of Glamour Bard is you get the ability to use command as a bonus action. However, in Baldur's Gate 3, there's a thing called the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel once you get to Act 3. This allows you, after doing a melee attack, then to do a enchantment or illusion spell. Command and hold person are both enchantment spells. So what you can do is you can go College of Sword, do your 2 attacks. You can also slashing flourish and hit 4 enemies with a melee attack, and then do a bonus action spell. And you can upcast your command to target 6 people. With the College of Glamour, you only get 1 attack, you only get 1 spell or whatever, and then you get that bonus action command on 1 person. So it's not that good. So here's that ability, the Mantle of Majesty command. So this is the bonus action again. You can keep reapplying it every 10 turns. That part is nice, but it's only 1 target. So yes, it doesn't use a spell slot. That is good. But again, Sword Bard can also use the Helmet of Arcane Acuity and use Arrow of Many Targets and hit multiple targets, get a +10 to their spell save DC. And then their bonus action crowd control spells like Command and Hold Person are going to have like a 36 difficulty challenge. So 25 to 36 depending on your gear. That makes it so much better than the College of Glamour Bard. I want to like this one. I've done some playing around with it. It's fun. But if you've used the Sword Bard, you're going to feel a little bit let down, especially if you use that build, which has all the nice bells and whistles. Buffing your allies to give them extra health is nice, but at the end of the day, the Bard is all about being a jack of all trades and mostly a crowd controller. This one just falls short compared to some of the other subclasses that the Bard has. So with that, I'd have to actually say that the College of Glamour is going in the D tier. I like the concept of it. I just don't think the execution in terms of Baldur's Gate 3 is very strong. If it had something else, like even if it had like 2 attacks, which it doesn't feel right to give it 2 attacks, but the Sword Bard just far outweighs it. Unfortunately, it's just going to be the obvious comparison because I know a lot of people use it because Sword Bard with the ability to do command or hold person as a bonus action makes it a lot better than this one. So yeah, it's okay. But next we got ourselves the Bladesinging Wizard, which is actually a very fun subclass. So with the Bladesinging Wizard, it's kind of a jack of all trades in a sense. It gets an extra attack, it gets extra armor, it gets the versatility of a wizard, which is underrated. You can learn any spell from a scroll, and that comes in handy a variety of times. You also get the coolest weapon animations in the game. I do have a video going over every single new weapon animation in Baldur's Gate 3's Patch 8, so you can check out that video if you're interested. But these are the weapons you get to choose from: the dagger, sickle, short sword, rapier, scimitar, and longsword. Rapier is going to be the best choice, and the Duelist Prerogative, which is a weapon in Act 3, which typically was okay, actually works very well here, almost like it was designed for the Bladesinging Wizard. So you obviously get all the benefits of being a wizard, all those great spell selections, but with the Bladesinger, you get the training and ward songs, you get light armor proficiency and performance skill, so you can wear the ballast armor, which will double your piercing damage, pretty crazy. And you also got Blade Song power, but when you go into the Blade Song, you gain a +2 bonus to your armor class and your movement speed increased by 3 meters. You gain advantage in acrobatics and a +2 to constitution saving throws. You can't wear heavy armor, medium armor, or shields. So again, this is where using just the single rapier is going to be perfect. So if you use the Duelist Prerogative, you can't use an offhand weapon with that, but it gives you an extra reaction. So taking Counterspell, this lets you actually do Counterspell twice in a turn. Actually pretty crazy. So with the Blade Song, yeah, increased armor class, making you almost like you have a shield on because the +2 armor class is going to help out in the extra movement speed. And the bonus to constitution saving throws is also quite huge because that'll help you hold your concentrations. So similar to the Sword Bard, at level 6 you get that extra attack. This is actually quite a power spike because now you got options. If you want to do a spell, you can go with a spell. If you want to do a weapon attack, you got 2 of them. Pretty great versatility here, and I actually think this might be my favorite wizard subclass. I know abjuration wizards can be very overpowered if you set them up properly, but this one doesn't require you to set up. It just allows you to stab, do the coolest animations in the game, and get all the spells, and you get like Odaluk's Freezing Sphere at level 11. It's pretty crazy, actually. As you continue to level up, you do get obviously the same spell selection that the wizard gets, which is a lot of them. But as we make our way up in levels, we get the Song of Defense, which gives you so if you get hit with an attack, you can use a spell slot to -5 times that spell slot in damage. So if you got hit for an attack that's dealing 25 damage, you could use a level 5 spell slot to take no damage, making you actually pretty tanky, although you do burn through your spell slots pretty quickly. What's also nice is the arcane recovery you get from being a wizard, so you can replenish that level 5 spell slot. But hey, every little bit counts. Sometimes you just want to use a level 1 spell slot. Obviously the shield spell works great too. This can prevent you from going down, which is really, really good. And as I mentioned, this is the only class that gets Odaluk's Freezing Sphere and the Wall of Ice spells, which are really useful. And also Global Invulnerability, one of the best spells in the game, although a single level dip in a wizard and a full caster will get that. I think Odaluk's Freezing Sphere is really great. But the big thing with the Bladesinging Wizard, I'm just going to show you the attack animations because they look so cool. So you can invoke the Blade Song here. We got our rapier there. So you're going to apply this. This gives you that nice increase to our overall armor class. And then whenever we go into an attack a non-damaging wizard, this cool attack animation. So boom, with the little leg kick. It looks nice. So yeah, I'm a big fan of not just the class itself, but the animations look amazing. You also cast your spells with your sword. So you go whoom and shoot them from your sword and make Gale slip and hit his head on the ice. So for that, I would have to say the Bladesinging Wizard. This is another S tier choice for me because you get the versatility of a wizard, you get an extra attack, you get an extra 2 armor class, and you can use the Duelist Prerogative, which, you know, using gear, but it's something that's available in the base game of Baldur's Gate 3. This just takes it over the edge because with the Duelist Prerogative, you can get increased critical hit chance, you can deal additional necrotic damage if you want to use one of your reactions on that. You also get a free bonus action attack with this. So whenever you have this equipped, you got that nice Duelist Enthusiasm, so you can do 3 attacks per turn, which is pretty crazy. But on top of all of that, it gives you an extra reaction. So whenever you have no weapon in your offhand, that extra reaction actually stacks up quite a bit because whenever you go to do counterspell, you can counterspell 2 people. Very, very useful. So yeah, I do think that it belongs in the S tier. The Abjuration Wizard likely is better, but it does require you to stack up the Arcane Ward, which not a lot of people just want to do when they're casually playing Baldur's Gate 3, you know what I mean? Whereas you can just play as a Bladesinging Wizard, get the nice boost, you can do a lot of damage, you got versatility, and you can wear light armor, so it's got a little bit of everything for everyone, and I think this is the best Spellblade in the base game of Baldur's Gate 3. So that in itself is pretty nice. S tier for me. I still think the Giant Barbarian's a little bit better. But next we're getting ourselves into the Death Domain Cleric. Now with this one, it's got some cool abilities, but the big thing is whenever you go with the Death Domain here, you get Toll the Dead, but you also get the Reaper, which necromancy cantrips can target additional creatures, so you can hit them for 2 damage. So what you can do is you can just go ahead here, a little pro tip, you can actually take the Toll the Dead as your normal cantrip here, and you get your 2 necromancy ones here, and then your extra one there, Bone Chill. So that's the sneaky way of doing it to get all 3, otherwise you don't get them. So yeah, with that you also get the False Life and the Ray of Sickness, which aren't really ones you're going to use often, but the next level is really the biggest benefit. So we get our Channel Divinity, which allows us to add additional necrotic damage on our melee attacks. However, this is a little, so let me break this down. When you hit a creature with a melee attack, this also counts as spell attack rolls. You can use your Channel Divinity to deal extra necrotic damage. So what this means, Inflict Wounds, that's a melee spell. It does a good amount of necrotic damage, and with this you can use it to deal additional damage, necrotic. So another little thing with the Cleric is it's got its domain spells, Ray of Enfeeblement, which is nice, Blindness, which is also nice, but at level 6, I guess at level 5 I should mention Animate Dead and Vampiric Touch is your domain spells, but level 6, this is when we get ourselves the Inescapable Destruction, ignoring resistance to necrotic damage, which makes this a little bit stronger because necrotic damage is resisted by everything in their dog in Baldur's Gate 3. So this does put it up a little bit higher because, I mean, necrotic damage is usually pretty garbage. You also get the Blade spell, which is going to be one of your best necrotic damage spells, 8d8 of necrotic, which is pretty nice. We also get ourselves the Divine Strike necrotic, which will do additional necrotic damage on our attacks. Pretty nice, but we're not going to melee often. Clerics don't typically do that because they don't get the extra attack. You also get Cloud Kill and Contagion. What's great about Cloud Kill is if you use Hero's Feast, you and your team won't actually get hit by Cloud Kill, so you can just camp out in it. Pretty crazy. It's because Hero's Feast will give you the immunity to poison. And the way that Cloud Kill works is it actually, like, you don't get immunity to poison damage per se, but it makes you immune to Cloud Kill. So use it. Use both those together. It actually work very well. And as you continue to level up, you obviously get your special spells. You get the Planar Ally, which is really nice. The Cleric does have some nice things, but Hero's Feast does have that nice interaction there. The big thing, though, is the Necrotic Touch, the special damage that you get from that. So whenever you do your Inflict Wounds, which you can upcast all the way to 7d10 of necrotic damage, and then get the additional necrotic on it, which is good, but it's not that powerful at the end of the day. And especially if you look to compare this to, like, if we're comparing it to a Tempest Cleric or a Light Cleric or a War Domain Cleric or even maybe Nature Domain, those all kind of went out. So the Tempest Cleric just being one of the strongest, and Late Domain also being one of the best defensive and offensive together, gets better spell selection. They get better benefits. Necrotic damage immunity or resistance ignoring is nice, but I'd have to say the Death Domain Cleric's probably around the B tier. It's nothing too strong. It's nothing too weak. It's a Cleric at the end of the day, and the Cleric is quite strong. So yeah, I would have to say it's a B tier choice for sure. I think it is quite strong. Now with the Circle of the Stars Druid, it gets some fun effects. It's got radiant damage. It got also the ability to cast a free guiding bolt. So you get the star map, which is a unique resource that allows you to cast that for free. And you also get your starry forms, which allows you to take on the archer, chalice, or dragon, which is cool. So with this, the dragon gives you advantage on, or whenever you make a saving throw to maintain concentration on a spell, a roll of 9 or lower is considered a 10. And you also get the dazzling breath, which is actually quite strong. We also get ourselves the chalice, which allows you to do chalice healing. If you do a healing spell, you can do another heal afterwards, and you can freely swap to this at any time. And we also get the archer, which allows you to do a luminous arrow, which looks really cool. Now, this is the big benefit of this class, but it also gets obviously the great spell list the druid has. The druid actually has one of the better spell lists in the game. This is partly due to being able to cast the Woodland Being, which can hold a spike growth concentration for you. And you get your additional star maps at level 5 there, so that's again for the guiding bolt that we get for free. At level 6 we get the Cosmic Omen, which allows you to either buff or change roles basically. So once per long rest you can consult the stars for Cosmic Omen of Weal or Woe. This will give you an increase or a decrease to attack rolls and saving throws, and increase your allies' ability checks. So this can be used to help save your teammates or increase your likelihood of landing a spell. And at level 9 you get another omen that you can use, which again is going to buff up your team, which is quite nice. At level 10 we get the subclass feature Twinkling Constellation. So your forms are increased, your archers and chalice healing are increased by a 1d8, and the dragon has the ability to fly around, which is kind of nice. So what this ends up looking like in actual practice, I will show you here now. With this, it's all about being in your chalice form, or it's about being in your starry form. So we go into our wild shape, and the archer is probably my favorite. So whenever you go into the archer here, you get this nice little starry appearance on your character, but you get the ability to change it, but you get the luminous arrow, which looks cool because you create this bow, and then you can use this to just shoot a radiant arrow at a target, and it'll do a bit of damage, the 2d8 plus 3 radiant damage. Then you can swap forms to your chalice form here. So whenever you're in your chalice form, you can go ahead and heal a target, and then you're going to get the chalice healing, which does a 2d8 plus 3. So it does take your wisdom modifier for the heals, so you can use that to give yourself an extra heal. Or if you go in the dragon form with this, you also got your dragon dazzling breath, which hits in a pretty large cone, which is nice. So you can go ahead with rah and that one looks pretty cool too. So it does 46 plus 3 radiant damage, and then you can also fly around in this form. So yeah, they're fun, but they're not overpowered. That's the range that you get with your fly as a dragon, so it's a little bit of movement speed, not a whole lot. I think that this is a decent subclass. The Land Druid has a little bit of different abilities, but being able to get a bonus action, Dazzling Breath for 46 radiant damage, like upwards of 27 radiant, is nice. And then going into your chalice form with the archer also gives you a nice ability to do a 2d8 plus 3 of luminous radiant damage. So it's strong, but I don't know if it's that much better than what we've already gotten. I'd have to say it's probably, I would probably put it in like the high B tier to A tier. Like it's kind of where the Arcane Archer sits. I still personally think the Moon Druid is better. With the Air Myrmidon form, you can stun 3 targets with your Electrified Flail, which is actually crazy at level 10. And on top of that, you also got the Spore Druid, which is a Necromancer. I think that it's stronger than that. So it may be a B tier, high B tier to around A tier roughly. Summer's around there. This one's a really tough one because I've tried it out. It feels strong, but comparing it to the Land Druid and all the other Druid forms, I just don't know where it sits. The extra attacks are quite nice, so you can kind of get an extra spell in. I'm going to leave it probably around the A tier here, just because the Cosmic Omens, Weal or Woe, can be so effective at buffing up your team. But next we got ourselves my favorite subclass, which I want to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to be putting it very high. I'm just going to keep it honest. It's my favorite subclass that got added in patch 8, but I got to keep it real for y'all. So with the Shadow Magic Sorcerer, you get the Strength of the Grave, you get reduced to 0, you get come back up with 1 health point instead of being down, you get Superior Dark Vision. But the big bonus of this Shadow Magic Sorcerer is the Hound of Ill Omen. You also get the Eyes of the Dark, which gives you the Darkness spell here, which you can use at level 2 spell slot or 2 sorcery points. Cool little ability there. And it's also got that cool new unique icon with sorcery point built into it. What's nice about this is you can see through darkness. So if you cast this, you can also cast your spells from it. This makes it pretty crazy in terms of like what you can do with it. It's tough because the other two sorcerers are just so powerful that I don't think that this one is better than them. With a Draconic being able to add its charisma modifier to damage rolls on like Scorching Ray, making every beam deal additional like 6 or 7 charisma extra damage. It's pretty crazy. But here we get the Hound of Ill Omen. So this uses your sorcery points, 3 of them in a bonus action. It can attack targets, and whenever it attacks, it's going to apply an omen. So I'll show you that. So with the Hound of Ill Omen, as I mentioned, with its main attack, it's got the Ominous Bite here. So whenever it does this, it'll place an omen on a target, which let's say it does an omen of acid damage. Then you do have to do acid damage to that target to get your sorcery points. So this can help you replenish your sorcery points. In addition, the good old boy here, if it gets hit with an attack that's not radiant damage, it'll split off into another dog. And then you can heal it up, and if that gets hit, it'll split off into another dog. So if it gets cleaved, it can end up making a ton of dogs. It's actually pretty cool. The other ones you don't have to control, you just control your pupper there. It doesn't get a whole lot of health, but it is kind of fun. And its level 11 capstone is Shadow Walk, which is actually quite strong. This is Misty Step pretty much, but you can only go to a shadowed area. And whenever you do this, it doesn't use a bonus, or doesn't use your heal or spell slots. It just uses a bonus action. But you also get the effects of Distance Spell, which increases your spell range by 50%. So you can use this to retreat. And if let's say you're in your shadows and it didn't work out for you, you can use this. And it's very forgiving, like anything shadow related, like slate shadows can allow you to even teleport with that. So with our Shadow Walk, there's enough darkness in here to allow me to do it. But basically whenever you pop around there, then your spells get an increased range. So you can see Magic Missile now stretches friggin' far. And this is even with it going through a wall here. So yeah, it really buffs up your damage because you can fly away and do that. And you also get your dog there doing its thing. So this subclass is pretty strong because again, you can hide out in your darkness. With your darkness, you can also then cast spells for when you can teleport around in it. You get the distant spell or the distant range. It's good, but I do think that the other subclasses are a little bit better in terms of the base game ones. It's just tough because the Storm Sorcerer and the Draconic Sorcerer are so powerful. So I'd put it at the top of the B tier. I wanted to say S tier because I like it. Personally, I love it. It's fun. The dog's cool. Being able to teleport into darkness and get distance spells great. I want to say it's probably B tier. I don't know. I've been playing with these a lot and just giving my honest thoughts on them. The Star Druid could be down to B tier, and the Shadow Magic could be A tier, depending on how you use it. I like to use Darkness to my advantage, so this would grow great on a Darkness team. But yeah, we'll get into the Hexblade Warlock now. The Hexblade Warlock ends up being one of the best single level dips in the game because with this, you get your Bind Hex weapon, which allows you to use Charisma for your attack rolls at level 1. This means you can take the Paladin at level 11, getting that extra Divine Smite, and then you can just use Charisma for your damage rolls by using a single level of this. Then you also get the Hexblade's Curse, so you get additional critical hit chance, and your damage rolls against the target get a bonus equal to your proficiency bonus, so an extra 4 damage, pretty nice. And you also get medium armor, shield, and martial weapon proficiency. This makes it one of the best single level dips in the game. Previously, that title was the War Cleric for the bonus action attacks, but I think this one gives it a run for its money, especially if you want to use the Charisma for your attack rolls. So with that, I think it's pretty strong, but it does have its limitations, as all Warlocks do. You also get Branding Smite as a spell, and you get the Shield spell, although I would not recommend Shield. You can also take the Pack of the Blade if you wanted the 2 attacks, because it doesn't give you 2 attacks with it. At level 6, whenever you take an enemy within 18 meters, or if an ally takes an enemy that's afflicted with the Hexblade's Curse, you can raise an Accursed Spectre that'll fight alongside you for a short period of time. That's pretty nice, actually, because it gives you another ally to kind of take aggro off of you, which is pretty useful. It also, for its attacks, gets Banishing Smite and Cone of Cold. And this previously said range Banishing Smite, but you can use Banishing Smite on your main attacks. It says use your bonus action and requires concentration, but it gives you an extra 5d10 of force damage on a weapon attack, which is very powerful. And you also get Cone of Cold. I mean, great spell. So it does have some good options for its crowd control and for its spells. It also gets that nice ability to use Charisma for its attack rolls. And at level 10, you get the Armor of Hexus. So whenever you are attacked by a creature that has the Hexblade's Curse, you can possibly stop it from hitting you. It has a 50% chance of succeeding. So that in itself is nice for the survivability sake. And just to show it there, you do get the Banishing Smite melee, because it was a little bit weird in how it presents it, but Yeah, with this one, the Hexblade, it's great as a single level dip. If you're to take it to level 12, it's okay. I mean, it's got the Hexblade's curse, which can be nice. This is going to be a very popular one for multi-classing, I can already tell. It'll be great because you can even take the Pack of the Blade there. I mean, that does the same thing, but if you went with like let's say a Paladin level 11 with a single level of this, that just gives you the ability to add your charisma, or add your charisma modifier to your attack rolls instead of using your dexterity or strength. So I think that it's decent. I'm gonna put it roughly around the B tier. I have a feeling like there'll be cool uses for this, but I don't know the strength of it. Like, I've used it and it feels like it's not going to be as strong as some of the other classes at what they do. It's probably going to be the best subclass for the Warlock. So with that, it may be like an A tier choice. If you factor in multi-classes, it's probably A tier. But yeah, we'll put it in the A tier because I know a lot of people really like the Hexblade Warlock and probably be upset if I don't put it that high. But next we got the Drunken Master Monk. Now, the Drunken Master, I think it's fine. It's got cool animations, but it's not that strong. So with the Drunken Master, you get proficiency in performance. You also get the cheeky tipple. So whenever you drink alcohol, you regain half your key points rounded down once per day. And you're also immune to any of the negative effects of being drunk. Any of the drunken techniques. So you can punch twice in quick succession and grant yourself an additional 3 meters of movement speed and the benefits of disengage. It's pretty cool. I think that this subclass is the best role-playing subclass that got added, but I don't think it's that strong. You also get the intoxicating strike, so you throw a ball up and punch it into their face and can possibly get the target drunk. And this is a bonus action or an action version of it, using up a key point. It's fine. Making the target drunk allows you to use the sobering realization on it, which we'll get a little bit later on. So at the end of the day, it's a monk, still gets the stunning strikes and everything fun like that. At level 6, you get the redirect attack. So a creature misses you with a melee attack, you can spend 1 key point as a reaction to use unarmed strike back at them. And you also get the leap to your feet, which when you're prone, you're standing up when you use 1.5 meters of your movement speed. That's nice. Nice defensive abilities there. You get the life of the party here. This is where you get a nice buff. So every time intoxicating strike hits, the monk gains life of the party, which increases its armor class and attack rolls against drunk targets. You can get a +5 for armor class and attack rolls here. So that can actually be pretty good. But it's sacrificing so much. The thing that I think is not great about this is you're going to compare it to the open hand monk. The open hand monk is one of the top 5 builds in the game. This doesn't compare. We get the sobering realization here, so hit a drunk target and sober them up, dealing bonus psychic damage. It's only a 1d8 plus 2 psychic, so nothing crazy. The bonus will be your wisdom modifier. Nothing crazy. This psychic damage is nice, but it loses the life of the party. So if you have a +5 of your armor class going and you use this, you get a measly 1d8 and lose your +5 armor class and attack rolls. I don't think that's worthwhile, especially when you got something like the open hand monk, which can do over 100 damage on a single action or bonus act. 100 damage on a bonus action. It's crazy. When you make an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw and have disadvantage on that roll, you can spend 2 key points to get rid of that disadvantage. That's nice, but it's level 11 skill, not super crazy strong. I will show you, however, the intoxicating strike action because I think it looks awesome. These attack animations are great. So you throw a bottle up, punch it into Gale's face, bonk. With that, it looks hilarious. It also has really cool attack animations here. Like, it's funny. This one's got some of the coolest looking stuff. You can make targets drunk. Punching the bottle looks hilarious. I just don't think it's that strong. So for that, I would have to say the Drunken Master Monk is probably a C to D tier. I'm gonna put it in the C tier because it's great for role playing. That's where it really shines, but it just doesn't have any of the strength that the other subclasses do have. It's got the coolest animations other than the Bladesinging Wizard. It just doesn't have the strength of the Bladesinging Wizard. I'll just be honest with you guys. I like it, but it's not that strong. Next, we got ourselves the Swashbuckler Rogue. So the Swashbuckler gets the fancy footwork here. Whenever you make a melee attack, targets can't make opportunity attacks on you. Cool. But you know what's better than that? Taking out all the targets so they don't make any attacks. You also get the Rakish Audacity, +2 to initiative rolls. This will scale with your rogue level. That's nice. And you no longer need advantage to trigger sneak attacks, and unless you're within 1.5 meters of the target, or if you don't have disadvantage, which you can get disadvantage easily if there's 2 of them there. Well, it's nice. The big things here are the bonus actions. So, dirty trick, flick of the wrist. You can throw your weapon at a target and possibly disarm them. That's really good. Bonus action, Vicious Mockery. That's really good. Multi-classing this with a Bard. You can do an action and a bonus action, Vicious Mockery, the ultimate disser class. And we got ourselves Sand Toss, which can possibly blind a target and throw some dirt in your eye. Pocket Sand. Yeah, it's fun. Level 4 is a great level for this. Now you can swap off of it because everything else is just mid. At level 9, you get the Panache, which rolls a persuasion check to beguile a humanoid, who must contest it with an insight check. Enemies who fail gain Panache disadvantage. Others who fail become charmed. That's not that great for a level 9 ability. Again, the Rogue does not get an extra attack unless you're using mods. It does get this extra feat at level 10, which is nice, but it's just not that good. The sneak attack is going to be your biggest damaging option, the Rakish sneak attack, which is the special version that it gets, which is nice. So you got your Rakish sneak attack. That's good and dandy, but the open hand monk's going to do way more damage. A lot of classes will do a lot more damage, so it just ends up feeling a bit weaker compared to the other ones. You do get this nice the dirty tricks are great. I just don't think that this is very strong. The Rogue itself isn't very powerful. It's great outside of combat. I just want to acknowledge that. Like, outside of combat, it's fantastic. In combat, one attack with only it being a sneak attack. You do get kind of a second one with the bonus action abilities here, but yeah, this one is probably going to go somewhere into the B tier as well. It's just not that good. The Drunken Master is probably a little bit better than it. It doesn't help that the Rogue itself is kind of weak. If it had an extra attack, that would make it actually viable, but it doesn't have an extra attack, so all the other classes kind of out compete with it. So finally, the Swarmkeeper Ranger. With this Swarmkeeper, you get the Praise Send, which allows you to deal additional damage to targets that have Hunter's Mark. You also get the Mage Hand cantrip, and you also get Fairy Fire. But the big thing is the Gathered Swarm, which allows you to choose the Legion of Bees, the Cloud of Jellyfish, and the Flurry of Moths. This will do piercing, lightning, and psychic damage respectively, and the Flurry of Moths will blind the target, the Jellyfish will shock your target, and the Bees will push the target. The Flurry of Moths is actually the best one, I believe, just due to it getting psychic damage and being able to blind your targets, which becomes really effective. But this class is fun, but the Ranger itself is a little bit lackluster. At level 5, you get the Web spell here, so that's nice. It kind of fits thematically here, and you get the extra attack, obviously. At level 7, we get the Writhing Tide, which allows you to fly with your swarm a meters of 3 meters, and you can't get hit with any surface attacks from that. So if you're going to get shocked by the lightning on the ground, you won't get hit by that. It's kind of nice. Or ice on the ground. So it's got small little benefits like that. Once you get to level 9, you get another Writhing Tide current spell, and you get the Gaseous Form spell. These are spells that you probably don't use that often in Baldur's Gate 3, so it's not a huge loss if you don't get it. You continue to level up, you get all the nice effects of being a ranger, but nothing powerful from this subclass till we get here with the Mighty Swarm. So the swarm attacks go from a 1d6 to now 1d8 extra damage, and its special attacks has one extra feature, and it can also teleport you and give you extra armor class, which is nice. It is nice. I give it that. It's nice, but it's just not that strong. So I guess we should show that in full screen. Here's what it looks like. I got the jellyfish here. I like the jellyfish, but I think the moths are a little bit stronger. So you got the Writhing Tide here, which lets you fly around. And then once you fly around, you get 10 turns of protection from any extra effects. And for some reason, we'd life the party still. Writhing Tide fly here. So you get the extra armor class. I don't know why it's not appearing here, but you do get a +2 to your armor class as well. For some reason, I got the life of the party and it won't go away. So that might be part of the reason why. Maybe I found a new strategy for getting increased armor class. But yeah, this one is just missing something. The Ranger itself feels like it's missing something because you got a Paladin, which is a half caster. The Paladin has Divine Smite. It's a defining feature. The Ranger has Hunter's Mark, which is nice. That does use your bonus action and a spell slot. It just feels a little bit weaker than some of the other classes. It's not going to be the weakest. It's still pretty decent. I'd have to say it's probably a B tier class. We could probably finish off somewhere like this or this. I do think the Giant Barbarian is one of the best. Being able to turn any weapon into a throwing weapon and get additional damage on it's huge. Bladesinging Wizard, so many options. The Arcane Archer is amazing. I think that's a really great class, especially early on. And also the Paladin, great defender, probably the best tank in the game. Circular Stars Druid, great bonus action abilities. And you also get the Hexblade, which is one of the best single level dips for any charisma-based caster that wants to do some weapon attacks. Shadow Magic Sorcerer, my beloved, it's just okay. It could go A tier. Any of these could probably shift up or down. I feel like there's new metas that will arrive. I've tried these out, tested it all with a ton of different gears. I was just trying to see what else we could do with this, but I think that this is pretty accurate to the overall strengths of them. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have an incredible day, and I will see you all in the next one. Cheers.